DeKalb Street in Uptown Shelby is your one-stop service center for repair work on your auto. Locally owned and operated since 1980, they offer light and medium automotive repair on all types of vehicles. Bill Gamble and his friendly staff can do state inspections, minor engine repair work, brakes, air conditioning, and heating service, timing belts, tune-ups, and oil changes, and lubrication. And now Gamble sells new and used tires. Stop by and let Gamble's Auto Service take care of your automotive repairs and servicing. That's Gamble's Auto Service, 104 South DeKalb Street, Uptown Shelby. Call 704-487-5079. From your local banking team at Home Trust Bank, here's Market President Rick Washburn.
When you walk through our doors, we ask how you are, how your family is, how your business is doing, because we are genuinely interested. We know how important conversations are. Since 1926, when Home Trust Bank began, we have been building relationships by getting to know our neighbors. Let's talk today. Visit hometrustbanking.com, member FDIC.
Visit Home Trust Bank at 224 East Warren Street in Uptown Shelby.
Now, it doesn't make much sense. There ought to be law again. Anyone who takes offense at a day in your celebration, 'cause we all know in our minds that there ought to be a time that we can set aside to show just how much we love you, and I'm sure you would agree.
And it's time for the post-game show brought to you by the Renaldo Auto Mall. That's Stevie Wonder, and happy birthday. Tonight is Dennis Davis' birthday. Happy birthday, Dennis, as we go to the big studio here at KTC Broadcasting. And hello, Dennis, and happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Mr. Robe. I appreciate it greatly. We've got the crew here tonight. We've got the one and only Smoke here tonight. We've got Mr. Bessemer City himself here tonight, Kevin. And
I'm from
Will,
Shelby tonight.
You're Shelby, man.
I'm from
Will,
Shelby tonight.
I think you picked Bessemer City, too. And folks, stay tuned, because we're going to be awarding the Bessemer City Championship rings tonight. This is the only ring you get, Steve, when you play a cupcake. Schedule is a ring on a cupcake.
Folks, you ought to see the ring.
Oh,
You hear
my.
this? You hear this, silly?
I'm with Kevin. I'm offended by this too.
I mean,
Good.
it worked. I mean, Chris has the most
cupcake for you.
the most losses on our board.
Yeah, but we played somebody better than Shelby Middle School. No apologies, Steve Greek.
Y'all
apologies.
Y'all boys are silly. Who beat y'all in the playoffs?
J.M. Robinson. Oh, wait a minute. They beat
what's their
Kings
record?
Mountain tonight.
What's their record? J.M. Robinson's.
I think it's like the only two losses.
9-4. No, that's Robinsonville. So where's J.M. Robinson? Where's J.M.
Kevin.
Robinson? Hold on.
Hey, Kevin.
I'm talking.
You gonna lose this battle. You gonna lose because
They lost two games, right?
You talking about
J.M. Robinson lost 2 games, right?
You talking about a team
How many games J.M.
out of the
lost?
great Cleveland County, and you talking about Bessemer City, which Gaston County won't even.
The last time y'all played Bessemer or Cherryville, y'all got beat 25-2.
That was 255 years ago.
4. Y'all had 4 in that game. It was 25-4.
Come on,
Kevin, those rings are
Now listen to
adjustable,
this.
too, in case your fingers too big or small.
Dennis, it's been about. When's the last time Chris put a ring on?
Put a ring on?
Yeah.
Will.
When's the
How
last
many
time?
rings have we got? Some of them boys down there, that's
Now,
what they do in
J.M.
the weight
Robinson
room,
has
is they just lift
2
the rings.
losses on the season.
Yeah.
Bessemer lost to the Granite Bears, undefeated team. They're so terrifying that they put Milton and Danny on a scissor lift tonight.
I heard about that silver lift.
Did you listen to
Oh
it?
man, I listened to them talk about that
If you
silver lift.
listen to that game, folks, and I know Bessemer didn't win, it was tough going for them tonight. But Milton and Danny kept it fun. Hopefully they're safe and didn't fall off the scissor lift.
Yeah, they had a lady down below and was going to start rocking the silver lift.
Well, heck, it was
And
getting
then
to
when the man stood up in front of Milton and he couldn't see the scoreboard, I thought he was just going to just throw everything up.
Well, and by the way, I saw a photo of that scoreboard. It is bigger, like 2 or 3 times bigger than East Lincoln's
They
new
got a
scoreboard.
video scoreboard, Will, and the announcers can't sit inside.
What?
The announcers have to sit outside on a scissor lift, and they have a video scoreboard.
And not just Milton and Danny.
The home team announcers, too.
Yeah.
And this is at Mount Airy, right?
Yeah, they've got 2 inside rooms. I don't know who's inside there. And then they've got the announcers outside on scissor lifts with a video scoreboard. You know where all the money is.
You got to have your priorities in the right place.
The law enforcement there is not really been the same since the late 60s. So, they're not on top of it like they used to be.
If it's 60, 70, 80 degrees, I guess it ain't too bad.
Andy
out there,
Griffin's
but-
still sheriff over
But
there.
decent. Close. Thanksgiving weekend on the scissor lift, I'm sure is not fun out there. There goes my drink. It's all right. It is empty.
It's all right. You've lost everything
All right,
else
Smoke.
tonight.
We have. Let's see. The only team that has survived tonight, Smoke.
Them
And
golden
folks, real quick,
lions.
we need to thank our Scott and the gang over at Kings Mountain tonight
Oh, yeah.
for allowing us to put them up on the
Bonus coverage.
bonus coverage on KTC. The Kings Mountain game went into overtime there. Kings Mountain falls by 1. Thank you guys over there on 101.1. If they're listening yet, they're probably still in their post game show, but they're going to switch over and put us on here in just a little bit, and want to thank them. But we've got all kinds of scores. Terry's rounding it up now. I think he's got Steve Nash. We're waiting on him to get his score in, and a couple 4A schools. But Smoke, let's go ahead and go through the schedule. I'll do the 1As here. You take the 2As, Will 3s, and Dennis 4s. We'll roll around. Robinsonville in the 1A West falls to Mitchell 45-25. Mitchell will face Cherokee, who beat Thomas Jefferson tonight 47-20. The
Wait a
winner,
minute. Hold on. Did you say Thomas Jefferson?
Yes.
won?
Thomas Jefferson fell 47-20.
Okay.
A lot of money involved in that game between Cherokee and Thomas Jefferson.
Yes,
There's a whole lot of money involved.
Yeah, the casino shut down tonight to go to that game.
So the winner of Mitchell and Cherokee will play the winner in Down East. North Duplin beat Pamlico County 42-14, and Plymouth beat Northampton 14-8. So Plymouth will play North Duplin. The winners of that game will play the winner of Mitchell and Cherokee for the 1A state championship. In the 1AA, Murphy wins tonight at home 49-27 over East Surrey. They'll play Mount Airy. So Murphy will travel to Mount Airy as Mount Airy knocks off the Yellow Jackets tonight 38-16. Well, I'm sure we'll get some calls here in a little bit from there. We had a bunch of people at that game actually from KTC in the stands too. Reedsville. Oh no, I'm still in the 1A. Sorry. So Mount Airy will host Murphy. The winner of that will go to the 1AA state championship and play the winner of Holmes and Tarboro, as Holmes won tonight 49-7 over Lakewood, and Tarboro 42-3 over West Montgomery. All right, Smoke in the 2As.
Yeah, in the 2A Western bracket, Reedsville shut down South Columbus, who beat the doors off of Lincolnton last week. Reedsville advances to the regional finals yet again, winning 28-0. They will be playing Mountain Heritage as they beat Hendersonville in a mountain matchup 30-20. Mountain Heritage will have to take a pretty long ride to go to Reedsville next week. And in the 2A East, we do have one score right now. Southwest Onslow beat East Bladen 30-13. We're still waiting to score. Terry trying to get that score of Wallace Rosehill and Northeastern. That's who Southwest Onslow will be playing next week. In the 2AA West bracket, it was Shelby here beating Mount Pleasant for, I think, the 5th or 6th time in the last decade in the playoffs.
5th time.
5th time, okay.
It's drive for 5.
Yeah, drive for 5. And they had to go to Mount Pleasant this time, and they won in a defensive struggle, 7-0 in the final score. They will be having to travel next week to play High Brighton, who is undefeated as they beat Franklin 37-7. And in the eastern side of the bracket, East Duplin beat Randleman 21-13. And North Davidson beat South Granville 35-19. So next week in the 2AA brackets, in the eastern side is North Davidson versus East Duplin, and in the west bracket it is Shelby traveling to High Brighton.
Well, I just want to say this. High Brighton was unbeaten last year till the South Point Red Raiders went up there and Smoke. You know what history is.
Well,
it's going to happen again.
Well, I'll say it like this. We saw Newton Conover. They should have beat High Brighton earlier in the year. I know this is earlier. This is September, October football. A lot can change in those 2 months. But they only lost by 1 point, and they should have beat High Brighton on the road. Shelby beat the tar out of Newton Conover this a couple weeks ago. So I'm thinking Shelby is the favorite going in this game, but it's going to be a dogfight going up there on the road.
Yep.
Because Shelby hasn't been in this situation of having to go up in the road to go to a state championship game, and I don't know how long.
It's 2 years.
All right, Will.
2 years? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, 3A bracket tonight, the big game that just went off there.
3A bracket, we got Charlotte Catholic beating Weddington 42-7. And then here in overtime, We got Jace. Is it J.A.?
J.M.
Robinson.
is
I
the-
knew Jay Robinson, by the way. He was a friend.
Robertson, 47-46 over Kings Mountain in overtime. Kings Mountain goes for the win with the 2-point conversion in overtime.
Is that a good move? We'll come back and talk about that later, guys. Okay.
And still rolling. I caught this game last week, and nobody believed me on this one. Sun Valley, 27, Mount Tabor 20.
Ooh.
And they are going to play the winners of the AC Reynolds won tonight over South Iredale. And that's the matchup next week for the Western half.
That should be a real good matchup.
Still waiting on the Nash and Havelock score. West Alamance beats Jacksonville 38-7. East Guilford beats let's see who we got here. Clayton 38-31. Cape Fear New Hanover beats Cape Fear 35-31.
Well, and in the 4A Western bracket, despite losing 5-star running back Zamir White, Scotland County has no problem as they beat South Central 74-34. Harding University beats East Forsyth 36-7. Wake Forest beats Sanderson 35-7. And there's a score tonight in the 4A bracket. And Mallard Creek, now hear me out. This is an actual score for a football game. Mallard Creek beats Page 9-5. Page was leading 5-3 with about 5 minutes left, and Mallard Creek scores one late.
Of the ninth?
I believe so. I didn't know Mallard Creek had a baseball team too. But in the 4A East bracket, Hoggard beats Heritage 20-8. Vance, they're in the Eastern bracket, beats Hickory Ridge 49-21. Let's see, Garner Magnet beats Green Hope 56-39. And this is also two East teams. Huff beats Myers Park 39-17.
How's that two East teams?
Well, then again, South Columbus is
right.
in the West.
You're right. You're right.
I mean,
you're right.
And I used to teach geography, and I don't understand.
Yeah, I know. This is about as bad as when the Panthers were in the NFC West.
Yeah.
And some South Carolina scores for Burns folks. Former Burns coach and Burns player Randy Birch coaches for the Gaffney High School. They lost to Dorman 14-10. Their season comes to an end. And Dutch Fork beats Fort Dorchester 24-14. And those are all the scores we have right now. We're still trying to get a couple of those.
Tommy wins again. Tommy Knotts.
Yeah, Tommy Knox.
We got a caller here. Steve, who we got?
Jeff Jones.
Mr. Jones. Tell us about your Shelby Golden Lions.
Well, it was just an old-fashioned knockdown drag-out. It was a great defensive game. And, it was one of those that if you lose that game, it's really hard. It's really hard to sleep because it was just, just left everything on the field. And, special teams, a lot of times you get those really close games, and a special teams player, too, can be the difference. And, I would say the biggest difference in the game was that Mount Pleasant got it down inside the 5 toward the end of the first half and went for a field goal and missed it. And the Golden Lions got it inside the 5 in the second half, and they were able to score and kick the extra point. And that was the big difference right there.
Well, I was at the Kings Mountain game, Jeff, and the score was announced 0-0 at halftime. I couldn't believe it. I mean, the Golden Lions, one thing you guys have been able to do is rack up some points. I know you can play great defense, but what was it about the offense tonight? Were they that good, or were you guys just off your schedule, or what was going on, Jeff?
I don't think that Shelby was really off. I think it was just that Mount Pleasant. This is the 5th time that Shelby and Mount Pleasant have played each other in the playoffs,
right.
And
you're 5-0, by the way.
This is true, and the last 4 times it's been fairly deep in the playoffs, and Shelby's never won by more than 17 points. Last win that I got when I was coaching offensive line, we beat them 17-0 in the Western Finals, and they've always done a good job defensively against us, and they had a good game plan, and we just we took what they gave us. We made just enough plays to stay in it in the first half, and then of course the big play was we ran a fake punt. We had the ball about
tricky.
around midfield, early in the fourth quarter, and ran a fake punt and picked up about 20 yards. Got down to the 30-yard line, and about 4 plays later scored.
Wow.
And that was huge. And you sometimes you hang on to those fake punts. You don't run them. You practice them all year long. Sometimes you practice them for 2 or 3 years before you run them. And
Pull that rabbit out of the hat.
It really was. It was perfectly blocked. They snapped it to the up back. The up back, runs to the right and kind of flips it to the guy going back to the left, and it was great blocking. And he picked up 20 yards. And high school football momentum is so important.
Oh, yeah.
And the momentum switched. And when Shelby scored, then Mount Pleasant got the ball, and they threw a couple passes and got down in Shelby territory again. And then Shelby was able to hold them and get it back on downs on about their 26-yard line with about 6 minutes. I think it was about 6 minutes and 36 seconds to go in the game, and they ran out the clock.
Now, Jeff, during the second half of the game, I did see where Malik Surratt did get banged up in the third quarter but came back in. Were there any other injury scares possibly for the Shelby Golden Lions team? Because you got to stay as healthy as possible if you want to make a run for a state championship.
Well, when you're 14 games in, there's a lot of injuries. Oh, yeah. And what happened was Malik was back to pass, and he saw a little opening, and so he darted inside and picked up about 4 yards. And when he got tackled, sometimes you see it and it looks kind of strange. It's like something didn't look right, and the way he went down, it just didn't quite look right. And he stayed down, and then he got up and he limped pretty badly, and tried to make his way off the field, and he just sat down, and so he left the field, and I don't know if it's it's an ankle, I'm not sure what it was, but he limped pretty well when he did come back in, and so that's just one of those things that we got good trainers and tough players, and you just got to see what happens. But there's several of the Golden Lions that are kind of banged up. But High Brighton, they got several players. I know they got to be banged up too. So at this point of the season, that just happens.
Well, Jeff, you just led into the next question. Coaches hate to do this, and I know you're an old coach. Look ahead and tell us a little bit about what you see as the strengths of Shelby versus High Brighton and vice versa.
Well, that's a great question because I really don't know anything about High Brighton. We've never played High Brighton. And, one of the things I'm looking forward to doing in the next few days is get to look at them on film some and see what they do. I know that they've had a really good run over the last 10 years or so. And, I don't think they've got to the state championship game before, but they've been a very good team for the last 10 years. So I just don't know. The thing that this Shelby Golden Lion football team has going for it is that they've got great defense, they've got good special teams, and they can move the ball a variety of ways. And in the second half, they really became more of a running team in the second half. And in fact, again, we ran off 6.5 minutes, the last 6.5 minutes of the game, and it was we ran the ball. And the offensive line has gotten better and better, and so it's great to have a team that doesn't understand about losing. They expect to win, and that makes it easier when you're a coach.
Now, Jeff, this is a veteran Shelby team, but coming into this playoff season, they have rarely played any playoff games on the road. Now, this will be their third straight playoff game on the road next week. Do you think this lower seed or higher seed has actually helped Shelby be more battle tested after having to go to South Point for the second time in 2 weeks and then having to go on the road to play Mount Pleasant, a team that they have taken care of 4 times at home?
Well, historically, Shelby does pretty well on the road. And again, historically, it doesn't really matter the players are playing right now, but I always have good feelings about going on the road in the playoffs. And Shelby's done well, and they expect to do well. Got a good crowd that follows them in the playoffs. But I agree with you that Shelby's battle-tested, but I think they're battle-tested because they played a really good Kings Mountain team this year. They played a fantastic Rock Hill South Point team this year at South Point. And they played some really good teams. And AC Reynolds is playing in the Western Finals, right?
Yes.
And they've lost one game. That was to Shelby. So Shelby's been battle tested, and that just says a lot. Again, they've won 23 playoff games in a row, and that just boggles the mind right there.
Hey, Coach, this is Will Borkins. How are you?
I'm doing well,
Coach. I was caught most of the game on live. Want to send a shout out to Tyrese Williams for going live with us. I watched most of the game on live, and I watched a lot of it, and I was very, I guess I was very complex, not complex, but was very disappointed in some of the offensive line play tonight. There was a few plays where they was getting backed all the way into the quarterback, and then there was a few plays they got a little hot-headed and got personal fouls called on them. Those are the things that I don't think they can go into next week with going into Highbright next week up in Lenore. Those are the things I think they're going to have to clean up. What did you see, and what do you think they can do to clean that offensive line up with the schedule with going into Highbright next week?
Well, that offensive line has been a project all year, and the thing, if you looked at the offensive line at the beginning of the year and you look at them now, they're a lot better than they were. They're not as good as they were last year, but they're different players. I mean, they had a really veteran offensive line last year, and when you go in replacing 4 of the 5 offensive linemen, you're going to have some growing pains. And there were a few times where they really got some push on our offensive linemen, but I don't recall our offensive linemen getting any kind of penalties, any kind of late hit penalties or anything like that. The one thing that they did a much better job tonight than they have all year is when we were throwing the ball earlier in the ball game, Mount Pleasant was sending a late pressure. They'd send a linebacker late, and people had eaten us up with that all year, and we picked that up. Our pass blocking was pretty good tonight, and by the time we got to the fourth quarter, our run blocking was a lot better. And so, again, I take kind of the long view of it. The offensive line has made a lot of improvement, and that's one of the reasons they were able to win tonight. They were able to do just enough to win.
Coach, didn't you used to coach kickers at one point in your career?
Yeah, I did. I coached the offensive line and the kickers. That was a really strange combination, but that's what I did.
Oh, I thought you did, and over at Kings Mountain tonight, they lost to J.M. Robinson 47-46 after 2 missed extra points. And the last time they gave it to the big boy, Mac, to try to get 2, but they were not short. What is the key to having a good kicking game, in your opinion, Jeff?
Well, Kings Mountain's had a good kicking game all year. Their kicker's done a great job. And the thing about kickers, I didn't see the game, obviously.
No.
The thing about kickers you have to understand is sometimes you miss extra points and it's the kicker's fault. Sometimes it's the holder's fault. Sometimes it's the snapper's fault. And there are a lot of times that you've missed some kicks and not sure whether the ball was placed on the tee the way you wanted it to and things like that. And I was listening in, right before you came and talked to me about was it a good decision, to go for 2. Well, if you make the 2-point conversion, it's a great decision.
Oh yeah, obviously.
If you don't make it, then people are going to second guess you. But you got to feel pretty good about giving the ball to Mac. I mean,
yes.
How many times has Mac been stopped, from the 3-yard line? But that's one of those things that Brent asked me in the fourth quarter. He said, all right, Coach, do you send pressure or do you try to cover? And I said, I really like broadcasting because I can just talk about
both.
what a good job they did miss having to do that anymore.
Well, it's sort of like Alan Ford trying to decide which kind of pie he's going to have yesterday. Just take both of them.
Both.
Take them both.
Both is the answer, but I really, I feel badly for Kings Mountain. They had a great year, and hopefully they can build on that. But again, when you miss a kick, you're just not sure exactly what happened, and sometimes you just miss the kick. I mean, did he hit upright on one? I think
I was in transit, and we didn't have a broadcast on that, so I don't know, Jeff.
Okay.
But as a coach, that's what I wanted to know. What goes into your mindset when you're making that decision? If you had to turn to Lance and say, Coach, let's go for 2 versus kicking the extra point to tie.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that that's a head coach decision. And just like when Lance called the fake punt tonight, and that ball's around midfield, and when you call a fake punt, it's going to be a momentum switch one way or the other.
Yeah, if you make it, you're a genius. If you don't,
I mean, if you call that fake punt, and we just come out of a timeout, we called the fake punt, and if we hand that ball and we lose 6 yards on that thing, and Mount Pleasant gets it on our side of the field, and that momentum is switched there, so that's the head coaches get to make those decisions, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and so you practice your kicking, and there's certain things you do, and you try to make the kick. I think it's a lot like shooting free throws. I mean, you try to make it, as much of a don't think about it, just follow your the thing you've been doing all year long, and that's what you try to do with kickers. And so Kings Mountain's had a great kicking game, and it's really. The other thing you got to keep in mind is the reason it's tied 46-46 is not just because Kings Mountain missed a kick. The kid from Robertson missed a kick when they went up 46-40, right?
That's correct.
So there's a lot of moving parts to a place kick. A lot of things can happen.
That's the thing. You got to have the snapper snap the ball. You got to have the holder to hold the ball. And you got to have the kicker to kick the ball. There's at least 3 things that can go wrong with it. And therefore, giving the ball to Mac, I'm going to applaud Greg for making that decision. Let's go for the win at home. They've had a great season. They'd only lost in overtime to you guys, and they lost in overtime tonight. Hats off to Kings Mountain for a great season, and to Coach Lloyd for a great championship caliber team. Not every championship caliber team makes it to the championship, and I'll give Greg credit.
Greg Lloyd does a great job too. I mean, he's an asset to Kings Mountain, and he's an asset to just as a football coach. Period, because he takes care of his young men. He teaches them good habits, and still one of the greatest things about being a former football coach is when you're when you're in town and you're on the street and you run into a former player and he still calls you coach, and he introduces you to his son, or tells you what's been going on with him, and that's why you're really there. I mean, it's fun to win. It's really fun to win.
Well, same thing with being a teacher, Jeff. I'm sure you run into students all the time. Today's my birthday. I had one of my former students posted on on Facebook today a comment that just warmed the cockles of my heart. He said, and don't take this literally because I know it's an exaggeration. He said, best teacher ever, only class I ever learned anything in, at Crest High School. Thanks for the hyperbole, but it's nice to at least occasionally get a comment from a former player or from a former student, because, we don't do it for the money, Jeff.
Well, it helps to be able to pay the bills, but you're right. If somebody tells you they got into the coaching or teaching to make money, then they got a problem. So, but anyway, I've talked way too much. I'm sure some other people want to call. But,
sure. Steve Degree, Bobby, they're going to give us a call. But I just wanted to say congratulations to your Tar Heels today.
Thanks a lot. Well, it's nice for them to win. I'm afraid they'll take one in the mouth tomorrow against NC State in football, but be it as it may,
well, you never know, Jeff. That's why they play the game.
A rough time.
Yeah.
Well, Brand and I are excited. We're ready to go to Lenore and see what happens next week, and it sure is nice to make it to the Western Finals. That's for sure.
Well, Jeff, if South Point could do it last year, the Lions can do it this year.
That's right.
All right,
guys. Well, you take care, and we'll hopefully we can talk to you next week.
Y'all be
Thank you,
careful,
Coach.
and congratulations and thanks, Coach.
All right, bye.
All right, got a couple notes here before we go to our next caller. He's talking about he was a lineman and kicking coach. That's exactly what Coach Boone did. That's exactly what he was when I was there. Was the kicking and lineman coach. He did offensive line, defensive line, and all the kicking game. So those two got something common there. Talking about the extra points and stuff. I don't know if you was here listening Saturday or if that was Terry. Was that last Friday or Saturday? We talked about kicking the holding. Was that on Saturday? Saturday, I was talking about. I used to have to hold when I didn't kick, and I hated it.
Yeah.
The one thing that I did not want to do on that field was to hold that ball.
Well, if you get a good snap, it's hard enough.
Exactly. People have no idea how hard it is, and you got so much pressure on you. Well, I've got to catch this ball, then I got to put it down. I got to hold it right. And
Turn the
I gotta
seams.
You got to spin the laces.
You got to do it quick. Make the laces are out. You got to do all this in a span of it's
Can't
a
do-
half a
can't
second.
do it
1
loosey.
second.
You gotta hold the ball.
Catch, boom. It ain't like Hey, how much do we argue about a receiver catching the ball in the NFL and was it a catch or not a catch? And then all the holders are just boom, putting it down immediately. Like they're the best. They got the best hands of football. And then think about Romo. They lost a playoff game. Ball it looked like it was slippery as all get out. If you're from the South, looked like a greased pig. But anyway,
He's still on this Romo thing.
well, anyway, when he slipped it, if you saw it, if Martin Grammatica could make one block, Romo would have scored. So Grammatica blew it with the block, and Terry Glenn blew that game earlier on the fumble and the one like a dodo. But he's dead now, so
Romo, where art
But
thou,
anyway,
O
I know,
Romo?
yeah, Dallas fans want Romo now. By God,
Well,
How about them boys?
I was going to say with the
He's
kicker,
awful.
another thing with the kicker too is when they see that ball snap, they're going. They're not. If they hesitate, the whole
yeah,
thing
they
screwed
can't
up.
wait
Yeah,
for
the
you to
whole
hold it and get
motion.
ready.
There's
They could
there's
get blocked.
there's no pausing. But I was noticing the second game
Yeah.
yesterday. The Chargers punter came in and kicked their extra punt.
Yeah.
Extra point.
Well, this is the second straight game where the Cowboys' opponent has had to.
lost their kicker, and
The Eagles lost their
they
kicker.
lost both games.
The Eagles lost their kicker due to a concussion, and then they had to bring in their
Yeah.
backup linebacker. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's like
Linebacker
we got.
Romo.
I mean, so many teams have gotten kicking shortages. I mean, it just shows you how important kicking can be. As much
Tonight
as
shows.
yeah, tonight showed it. Last night showed it. Having to, basically, I mean, we saw with even though it didn't matter, they had to go for 2 points. I mean. Yeah, especially in high school, because high school you can't trust these kickers to make an extra point.
Yeah.
Most of them.
My other notes, real quick. Something
Sure.
you and Jeff said. You said you don't get into teaching for the money. You don't get into high school teaching for the money.
That's true.
College. Let's talk real quick. I got a couple of college notes on that. The push-up coach at Alabama makes $700,000 a year.
Yeah, but he's got a lot to push.
And the golf coach at Tennessee, makes $300,000 a year.
But it's golf, man.
So I just say it because what's happening is they can't pay the
But
coach.
how much does Coach
Why,
K
why
make
did
it
you bring up? Why did you bring up the golf coach and the push-up coach that makes $300,000 and $700,000? You never even said anything about LSU still owe Les Miles money.
I know, right? I don't
And
even
I'm not talking about small time money.
coach.
They still owe
Coach
him
Jones.
like
I love
millions.
golf. If any college is
Jim
out there
Mora.
listening and wants to pay me anywhere near $300,000 to play golf and teach,
I coached-
I'm in.
I coached in college, and
They
I didn't get
They
quite
didn't pay
that.
you that.
Let me
Well,
go out there.
what's happening is, Dennis, is that the money.
I was his double student. He went
He didn't get
later in life.
I had to pay Will.
Well, there was a study this year. Now, Alabama has 118 players, right?
Yeah.
Each one, according to the school, how much money they make on football is worth $550,000 each.
Well, that's why you can
Not
pay
the-
Saban
not the
$8
20
million.
exactly. Not the 22 starters. See, that's why the golf coach is getting $300,000. They can't spend it on a gold toilet. What are they going to spend it on?
You want to know how bad it was?
Diamond hammers.
Don't have a caller.
We do got a
Never
call.
mind.
Sorry, Jeff
Never
Miller's
mind.
on the line.
Never mind.
Yeah, we got off topic, but there's a couple of things that just come to mind while you was talking to Jeff, and I didn't get to say anything, Jeff. But Jeff Miller,
Tune in
if you're
Saturday
still
morning
there,
when
I'm
Kevin will
guessing
be
you-
discussing gold hammers and toilets.
I'm guessing he was at the Kings Mountain game tonight, buddy. And Kings Mountain, tell us, were you there? Were you there, Jeff?
With his Duke shirt on.
Okay, tell us about the end of that game, and then we'll talk about the rest of it here in just a second.
Well, I mean, if you're asking about my opinion, I personally don't think I would have gone for it right then, because, you guys talked about it, the kicking game for Robinson. I didn't 100% trust that, so I probably would have gone for another overtime and, just kicked a field goal to survive. But, I also understand you don't want to get into a shootout with these guys because, each team had 40 points in regulation. So, hindsight's 20/20. We can always go back in our minds, but we can't go back, in person.
Well, Jeff, when I left the game, it was Kings Mountain 38 and Robinson 13. Now, we didn't have, at that time, radio coverage of the game. So I get to the station.
28-13, Dennis.
28-13. And I get to the station, and I find out, what's happened? So, Jeff, fill me in.
Well, the third quarter was definitely a turnover fest. Interception after interception. And Robinson took one of those interceptions in for a touchdown. Number 23 took it in for the touchdown. Jahari Young. But that's, I think, the only defensive score, for Robinson. It was, Robinson just came to play in the second half, and they just never went away. And the turnovers that Kings Mountain had in the third quarter were the key right there. Up 28-19, the Mountaineers could have pulled away. If they would have just took better care of the football, but that's just that's high school football for you. It was the turnovers that did them in. Of course, Robinson had some turnovers too. So that, and Kings Mountain's kicker only missed one extra point. That kind of surprised me that he did. But Robinson definitely was plagued with that for part of the night. That's just how high school ball goes sometimes.
Well, Jeff, I've got one final question for you here, and I want you to answer this as honestly and truthfully as you can. Don't pull any punches. Just lay it on the line as a third party that's not really a supporter of either team. What did you think of Drew's mac and cheese tonight?
What I think of the mac and cheese?
Yeah.
Oh, that was delicious, man.
It was good stuff, man. What was that in it? It was like little teeny weenies or bacon or what was it, man? It was good.
It was, looks like sausage slices and some bacon, some pieces of bacon. I might have to go on a diet after eating that. That was rich.
Well, I tell you what, I regret that Kings Mountain lost tonight because Drew had vegetable soup last week and he had mac and cheese this week. Will, you would have been right at home, my man. It's good, some good stuff. So, Drew, thanks for the food this year, and Jeff and I, from the bottom of our hearts and stomachs, want to thank you.
That was good stuff. I might steal that recipe.
All right, Jeff. Thanks for being our caller this year. Are you going down to see Catholic in Robertson next week, or what's on your mind?
Yeah, I think I've been wanting to go see Catholic this year. They got a nice stadium. They got nice atmosphere. And, I think this will be my golden chance to go see them before the year's over.
Hey, Jeff, I wouldn't call that atmosphere nice at all. Not if you're a visitor.
Just one caution, Jeff. Don't run down the stairs beside the field house when they're going out on the field. For a bunch of religious folks, they will cuss you and throw stuff at you. It's like running the gauntlet, man. So anyway, have fun down there. Let us know how it comes out. Give us a call.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I know he was questioning the going for two there at the end. And I know what the saying is that coaches say. My dad said it before. I've heard a lot of coaches say it. When you're on the road, you go for two. and if you're at home, you go for overtime. But I'm sorry, when you have a kicker shank 2 extra points.
Yeah.
If let's say if Coach Lloyd brought the kicker out there, and you got to remember this is only a kid here. This isn't like we're talking about an NFL kicker, and he misses a third straight in a row.
But
I mean,
Smoke, not only is your kicker missed 2, but you've got Mack in the backfield.
That's where I was going.
Yeah,
you
and
go for it when you got Mac.
I just think Lloyd will be criticized forever for letting the kicker go out there, because kicking is a lot about confidence. Like, if you're confident in your kicker, you're on your A game. But if you see yourself miss a field goal or 2, it goes completely right down to 0. And I mean, I don't know, was it an end around that they ran with Mac, or did they run it right up the gut, Joel?
From my angles, up the gut, because when they scored right off the bat, it was end around, but this one was right up the gut. He didn't even have no blocking or nothing. I said he stuffed.
Well, Joel, I'll say this. I've got to give some kudos to J.M. Robinson.
Oh, yeah.
They played some hardcore defense and running that ball through that line. You hear Mac just run right through him. Mac didn't just run right through him.
No, he didn't start cranking until about third quarter. That's when he started running through him. But first half he was getting them barely 2-3 yards.
Well, I think Smoke was right about we've seen these 2-point conversions around in our area quite a bit. Coach B, man, it failed for him twice. I think, right, Smoke, and in every situation is different. You guys missed 2 extra points. Ain't no way in the world if I'm coaching that team and I got Kalen Mack on my team and my kickers missed 2 extra points that I'm not sending Mack out there to try to get that 2 or 3 yards. And I totally agree with it. You didn't get it. That's your best player. Yeah. Let your best player get it instead of the kicker who's missed twice. If that kicker misses again, do you not think every kid or everybody in that school is going to hate that kicker probably, or something? It's not going to be fair to the kid. I don't think, and I think y'all did the best thing is what you do. You missed your blocking, right?
Yeah, it just I was glad they was going for the win. I was hoping they would run Britton on like they done when he scored that big long touchdown. Yeah. Come on, just hand it off until they stop him.
There's also a thing about that. Everybody's keeling on Mac. Well, see, Sunday the Saints come back against the Redskins to tie the game on the 2-point conversion. Did y'all see the play call on that? You've got Drew Brees on your team, and you've got Mark Ingram, and you've got all these wide receivers and these weapons that are on the 2-yard line. They called a naked toss sweep to the rookie running back. Out on the end, the tight end made the block, and Kamara beat it. It's a surprise. They didn't go with their best player.
That's probably the best player on that team.
Well, besides Drew Brees, I mean.
No, sir. Including Drew Brees.
That
rookie running back that had it's probably the best player on that team.
Call me in about 13
What
years.
I'm saying is, Will,
he's probably the best player on that team.
Easy now. That Drew Brees is on that field, and they didn't say, we're going to go throw the ball to Drew. They tossed it to the rookie. They didn't feed it to Ingram. So Kings might, they maybe could have had that option or not. But, you guys decided, hey, we're going to run the Mack truck. You didn't get it blocked. You lose ball. Well, you got 46 points on the board. You think you can get 2 or 3 yards, right? It just didn't work out.
Well, I said, don't give it to Mac because they're going to get him.
They're keying on it, right?
They was keying on it. I said, I hope they run it to Britton because they ain't stopped him yet.
The old fake up the middle toss might
Joel,
have been nasty.
I think what cost Kings Mountain the game tonight, and this is just my humble opinion, I'm not coaching them, but you guys had the ball down there somewhere close to the goal line, about the 5 or something, and it's like Moses parted the Red Sea. It's like the Jello walls pulled back, and all of a sudden, this guy, it's like 75 yards untouched, Joel. Explain that to me.
It's a bad decision.
What we have here is a failure to tackle.
Well, there's a failure to tackle, and I said defense is jumping around. I said call a timeout because what happened? They fumbled the ball, and we thought Kings might recover, but unfortunately, Kings Mountain rolled out of bounds when he got it.
Did he or didn't he?
He was out of bounds.
Okay, you saw it because I had somebody ask me that tonight. Was he or was he not out of bounds?
When he slid, it was like a bang situation, and I guess he did corral it. But we thought he had it, And that's when the referees was pointing the other way, and the next thing you know, that guy just went right up
from the
field.
press box, it looked like Kings Mountain recovered the ball, which would have probably got you another score down there.
Yeah.
But then that situation, you know, it is what it is.
Well, guys, we got a caller on the line, and we're going to switch games for a second, and then we got to get to a break. Steve, get Bobby ready on the line. And we'll talk about Shelby
we're going to talk
Lions.
some
7-0
Bobby.
victory for the Lions. Tight game tonight. Just Shelby only had 3 possessions in the second half after getting shut out in the first half, and still scored and still won 7-0. What a defensive effort for the Golden Lions tonight. Bobby, you there?
Yes, I am. I heard John Gamble stated it surprisingly. I was supposed to be in that Shelby game, but something did not work out as far as my transportation down to Mount Pleasant tonight. But however, I'm just so happy to hear that the Golden Lions did pull it out tonight.
Well, Bobby, we talked this week. Were the Lions ready to play? Was Mount Pleasant that good? What was the situation that happened tonight?
Well, we had talked earlier this week, and I got some friends down around that area. And from what I can understand, they said that they are a very good defensive team. And someone was telling me tonight, I was talking to one of the fans there at John Gamble Stadium, and they said that they had played them earlier this year. Mount Pleasant did. They said that what had happened is they got such a good defense. Matter of fact, they got probably one of the best defenses in the state in 2A. And they knew that they was going to give Shelby a fit as they played Mount Pleasant tonight. I really wasn't surprised by that, but I was hoping that Shelby would score at least 2 or 3 times, but that just did not happen tonight. From what I heard, all I can give, they just had a very good defense, and it just it caused Shelby to get in a defensive struggle with him tonight down there at Mount Pleasant.
Well, Bobby, somewhere along the way, in your struggle to win a 5th straight championship, there was going to be this one game that you knew it looked like you couldn't win, and you had to reach back somewhere deep down inside and gut it out. And I think Shelby did that tonight.
Well, somehow it turned out to be a slobber knocker, just like it was here at Kings Mountain, John Gamble Stadium. Both teams scored tonight, and the only difference between the 2 games, the teams here, they scored on both ends, and there was several interceptions during the game, and I just hate I did not get to go down and watch the Golden Lions tonight. But I'm just so happy that they did hang in there in spite of what the situation was. And it was just a defensive struggle, and I'm just glad they finally pulled it out tonight down there at Mount Pleasant.
Hey, Bobby, this is Will Borkins. How you doing?
All right.
Listen, are you going down to the game next week?
I'm going to try to. I'm going to try to go ahead and go down. I had planned to go tonight, but something just didn't work out. And next thing I know, I had to go on the Kings Mountain game. But nevertheless, I will be going to Hobart next week. I'm going to make every effort to try to make that.
Will you please call us on your way back in?
Well, as far as I know, I'm going to try to make sure that happens. But I just want to. I'm just so happy that Shelby finally pulled it out, and I would have liked for Kings Mountain to have won tonight, but it just didn't happen that way.
Well, all the hopes and prayers of the Cleveland County football community are resting on the Shelby Golden Lions next week, Bobby, and I know that you guys can handle that. Bring us home a victory and head back to that drive for 5.
Well, we're gonna try it. I was talking with my brother earlier tonight, and I'm gonna try to definitely make that game up next week. It just so happened there was a kind of mix-up as to whether we was going or not. The next thing I know, he said they wasn't going, and all of a sudden, we wound up didn't get to make it. But I'm just glad I made it here to Kings Mountain tonight.
Well, I'm sure you got your money's worth over there tonight, Bobby. I know you didn't have a dog in that fight, but at the same time, you saw a good football game, And I know you wish Kings Mountain had pulled it out because you're a Cleveland County football fan first and foremost, even though you favor the Golden Lions all the time. We appreciate that. But you would have pulled for Kings Mountain had they be going against Catholic next week.
Yeah, I'm just so happy that Kings Mountain just hung in there and did what they could tonight. And both teams just played well. It was one of the best classic high school games I've seen in a long time.
There you have it, folks.
But anyway, I'm just so happy that Shelby won tonight, and we'll try to get it on next week.
Well, bring home a victory for us and go back and get that 5th ring, Bobby. We appreciate it. I'll see you next week over at the Y.
All right, we'll work on it.
Thank you, buddy.
See you then.
Bye.
Thank you, Bobby, and thanks for all the callers so far. We got to take a quick break. Steve Robay in the house. You listen to the Renaldo Automall post-game show, 101.5 FM, 101.5. I want to thank our guests and Mecklenburg listeners listening to this let's talk about Kings Mountain, 1390 AM in Shelby, 1590 AM Cherryville and Gaston area, and 1050 AM in Lincoln County. We'll be right back in a minute on KTCBroadcasting.com.
All season long, your team plays here.
Your sports leader, WOHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, and WCSL Cherryville Gastonia, and W268CU Shelby. The Black Friday sales event is underway at Renaldo Cadillac Buick GMC in Shelby. Come down and save thousands of dollars, like up to $4,500 on the new 2017 Buick Encore. Take 20% off the new 2017 GMC Sierra Light Duty Crew Cab Truck. Save 17% off the new 2017 Buick Enclave 1SL. Hurry, offer ends November 30th. The Black Friday sales event at Renaldo Cadillac Buick GMC at Renaldo Automall, 4423 East Dixon Boulevard, Shelby. Before the big game or after the big game, head to Wings Etc. Grill and Pub in Shelby. Wings Etc. features award-winning buffalo chicken wings, burgers, wraps, salads, and more. Watch all the games on 25 flat-screen TVs with the NFL ticket. Your team is always playing at Wings. Wings Etc. is open 11 a.m. till 11 p.m. for lunch and dinner. Check out their Monday Night Wing Night. Traditional wings 69 cents, boneless wings 59 cents. It's always game time at Wings Etc. Grill and Pub, 1910 East Dixon Boulevard in Shelby, right across from the Cleveland Mall. Like them on Facebook too. At Brown & Howe Cosmetic Dentistry in Shelby, their goal is to exceed your expectations, and by doing so, you get the best in dental care. Brown & Howe Dentistry serves all of your family dentistry needs, including implant services, and they participate in Cigna, Delta Dental, United Healthcare, and MetLife insurance companies. And senior citizens get a 10% off discount. Call 704-484-0611 for your appointment. Brown & Howe Cosmetic Dentistry, 1210 East Marion Street in Shelby. Here's Mark Carter with Carter Chevrolet of Shelby.
I am proud to announce GM employee pricing on all the remaining 2017 Silverados we have in stock, plus rebates and special incentives on top of the rebates. You can easily save over $10,000 on every Silverado we have in stock. We have more inventory on the lot than we ever have before.
Carter Chevrolet, 200 West Dixon Boulevard in Shelby. Online at CarterChevyofShelby.com.
Need quality repairs on your vehicle? Affordable prices? Well, come to DreamWorks Automotive, 1826 South Lafayette Street, Shelby. They are your official North Carolina inspection station and can get you back on the road quick. Open Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m., Saturday, 8 to 5. DreamWorks Automotive offers your oil change just $24.99. And now's the time to call and schedule your quality repair. 704-406-9466. DreamWorks Automotive, 1826 South Lafayette Street, Shelby.
The Black Friday sales event is underway at Renaldo Cadillac Buick GMC in Shelby. Coming down and save thousands of dollars, like up to $4,500 on the new 2017 Buick Encore. Take 20% off the new 2017 GMC Sierra Light Duty Crew Cab Truck. Save 17% off the new 2017 Buick Enclave 1SL. Hurry, offer ends November 30th. The Black Friday sales event at Renaldo Cadillac Buick GMC at Renaldo Automall, 4423 East Dixon Boulevard, Shelby.
And good evening to the Renaldo Automall post-game show. Our teams are dropping like flies, boys. We're down to one. The Shelby Golden Lions are alive, and The Drive for Five is still alive, and Steve DeGree is on the phone to talk a little Golden Lions, keeping KTC afloat here, Steve.
What's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
Hey.
Yes, sir. Tell you what, that was a great football game, a great defensive football game. They couldn't move the ball. We couldn't move the ball. Just like I said, it was a great defensive struggle for 3 quarters. And we finally got some momentum. What changed the momentum was we done that fake punt. And once we did that, they really gave us the momentum back. Because before then, Malik Surratt, he went out with maybe a foot injury. But that shows you the kind of leader he is. He was out for one play, and he sucked it up, and he came back in and led us to the victory. But like I said, the key play was the punt, fake punt. And the Shelby faithful remember that a few years back, Coach Jeff Jones was the Shelby's special team coach. Yeah. And we called that same play in High Point Central 1 year, and that changed the momentum to the game too. And we was able to take it in and score and got ahead, and then we got the ball back. And once again, the offensive line, the Hogs, took control of the game and got us a couple of first downs, and we were able to run the close count.
Well, go ahead, Dennis.
I was just going to ask Steve. Steve, when you went down to Mount Pleasant, did you over or underestimate what these Tigers could do with the Lions? Because I seem to think that maybe, even though Shelby was a lower-ranked school, you thought, well, we'll just go down there and, turn them every way but loose. And I thought you ended up with more of a game than you planned on.
Well, like I said, I went to practice this week. They knew they was a good team because, see, this year they was passing the ball more than normal. A couple of years ago, they was a predominant running team. But they got a receiver, number 23, London something. He was a great receiver, and that quarterback would put the ball on the money, and we was lucky. They dropped a couple passes. And I think our team was ready for them. The defense was ready, but we sputtered a little bit on offense.
Well, I asked Jeff this earlier, Steve. You know a little something about High Brighton. You know a lot about the Lions. Tell me what you see taking place next week as the Lions travel up to High Brighton.
Well, it'll be our first time, I think, in school history playing them. I know they run a triple option, but I don't think they can run as good as South Point. But we're going to have to play assignment-free football again, Just play assignment football to just hope the offense can move the ball, and we can get ahead of these guys. Because I don't know if they ever trailed this year or not. I think they shut the team out tonight. I'm not for sure. But I know those guys who run the black and gold, they'll be ready.
Well, I certainly am calling this a turning point for the Golden Lions. I think that you guys played the championship game last week. You came in tonight. You played a quality team at their place. You beat them. Now you're going to High Brighton again on the road. I think you take care of business there. And then, Steve, you do what all the Lions want to do. You go back to the championship with the Drive for Five.
So, like Coach West said tonight, we could take an ugly win than a pretty loss anytime.
Oh, anytime.
Because, because sometimes you're going to stumble along the way. But it's what you do at the end that counts.
Well, I'm looking at the scoreboard over here.
If it's just 1-3-2, as long as you get the double.
Well, listen, Mallard, the wonderful storied Mallard Creek, Steve, beat Page tonight 9-5.
Wow.
9-5. And that wasn't even in extra innings. That was in regulation.
Well, somebody must have done it or something.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that Kings Mountain lost. I heard they said they went for 2. And all night, I'm a coach myself, but Coach Phil Allen always taught us you go for the tie at home and you steal the win on the road. But even that guy had I don't know, even that guy had missed 2 extra points. I don't know. I might let him keep it again.
Well, Steve, Terry just handed me this hot off the press here. Shelby has played High Brighton only one game in forever, since the early Paleolithic period. In 1997, the Shelby Golden Lions defeated the High Brighton Panthers 49-14. If you can duplicate that, Steve, you're going back to the ship.
Well, I know the guys was really happy tonight with the Bear Go Monday. You get the game plan. And Coach Warren, I tell you what, Coach Will Banks and Coach Donaway, they're the offensive line coaches. And I know I talk a lot about those guys because I intermingle with those more than I do the rest. And we just be trying to teach offensive line. They go as the offensive line go. So we can open up them holes and get Danny a crease. We got a chance.
Well, Steve, back in 1997, y'all had this player back then. He was pretty fast, named Norris Hopper. You think we could get him suited up for next Friday? We need some weapons out there, extra weapons out there.
I tell you what, though.
They couldn't catch him today, could they?
He'll check it off, and he'll keep it. He'll go check off his ball, he'll keep it.
Yeah.
And take it to that.
He ain't going to pitch it, is he?
Well, Steve, I'm going to change up for 1 second here. I want to give a shout-out to Shelby High School, David Allen principal, and the Golden Lions program down there about their vocational program. This week they got some pub in the Shelby Star about the welding class making some utility trailers for sale. And lo and behold, whose picture did I see in the paper learning a technical skill wheel but Dax Hollifield? So I guess if things don't work out football, he'll have something to fall back on, Kevin. He can be a welder.
Yeah.
And
he's got a good chance in the football. He's smart too.
4 point,
he'll be telling people how to weld. Steve, you got any other comments before you get out of here?
Well, speaking of that, that's just the kind of kid that is.
Yeah.
He's always want to be a leader. Always work hard in the weight room. Always work hard on the field. That's just the kind of young man he is. So whoever going to get him on the next level is getting a great young man.
Well, a well-rounded young man. That's what I wanted to point out, Steve. A well-rounded young man. Not just some academic egghead or some football jock, but a well-rounded young man.
He can dribble a basketball, too. All right, Steve. Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys. I just appreciate y'all let me sit in with Jeff and then on Friday night, I tell you what, they started having me nervous there, but when we ran that fake punt, I started smiling a little bit.
Hey, Steve, just be glad y'all weren't in Mount Airy tonight. Our announcers had to sit on a scissor lift outside.
They talked about it.
Yeah, be glad that wasn't y'all tonight. Thanks, Steve.
Oh man, that was so funny. They kept talking about that the whole time they was on that silver.
The game wasn't really that close, unfortunately.
What was funny was Milton figured out the reason it was shaking was Danny was cold.
No, come on now.
The whole thing's shaking. Milton thinks he's falling off, and Danny's over there just chattering away.
Well, Milton was scared for Danny. He's like, Danny, I don't mean to scare you, but the legs of your chairs are about 4 inches away from falling off this forklift. And he was saying stuff like, "We're going to be getting a press box named after us. The school's going to be named."
The best one, Will, is they were going to call it the Danny Aker and Milton Baker Memorial Forklift.
Well, fellas, the coldest game I ever did. Andy Foster and I were doing a championship game at Keenan Stadium from the Woody Durham box.
Yes.
Now, if you know anything about the Woody Durham box,
Carolina quits playing football in October.
It's warm weather then. But Woody liked to have. He didn't want that glass between him and the fans, so he could get a field smoke for what's going on.
Yeah.
That's nice, but in December,
it's not nice.
It will freeze your.
There's no window. There's nothing. It's just open air. And that's where Brent will be in it.
And we were literally doing what you're accusing Danny of.
What makes me mad about it is that we get over there, right? and this is the state championship.
Yeah.
North Carolina has 700 rooms over there.
Oh yeah. We could have had a suite.
Give us a suite. We'll sit in a. There's got to be a bathroom that overlooks the field somewhere. The hospital's got rooms. I'll break a leg or something. Give us the heat out there because it's just silly that we have to sit outside.
Not even counting the other side, Kevin.
We don't see, and it's not even like they provide internet for us. We have to use our own internet.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's not like the room is set up for us to broadcast to Carolina. It's not. It's set up for you to just be cold. NC State, everything's set up. Everything plugs everywhere. Wake Forest, everything's set up.
And Duke is back in the mix.
And we was talking about that earlier. Isn't that just why do we have 3 teams or 3 championships in the Triangle area? And if we're going to have 4 now instead of 2 or 3 sites,
where is the North Carolina High School Athletic Association located?
Exactly. Why are we? They should easily be able to find an excuse to say Charlotte is the furthest west one and find the 2 furthest west teams. They play there. Well, you could play at Gardner Webb. They're a private school, Smoke. That's.
Or they're playing at Duke.
Well, I guess that makes a good case too.
And Wake Forest.
Pardon me for 1 minute. You said you couldn't see me. I'm right here.
He's over here.
Lady at the lake.
Who's ever watching that Dennis real quick?
Let me move out of the way.
Hey,
you got to do what you got to do, man.
I got Tom Cinefani on the phone, and he wants Terry Reinhardt in here right now to apologize to him because he went 3-1 in his Super Six.
Tom, did you see the Bessemer City Championship rings? When you got a cupcake schedule, this is the kind of ring you get.
Joe, let me ask you something. Well, I'll ask Dennis. Tom, you there, Tom?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
If your team had 5 losses and the only team in the top 10 with 5 losses, would you be talking junk about anybody's schedule?
Oh, Dennis was harsh, awfully harsh.
5 losses.
Hey,
5 losses.
Terry, show him the ring. Show Tom the ring.
Awfully harsh.
Look at that.
Hey,
but anyway,
that's a better ring than anybody in Bessemer City will get this year.
I mean, Crest will even argue to you fans to death over who's the 8th and 9th best team. I mean, even when they don't have a good team, Tom.
But it was. I'm just telling you, like we talked about earlier,
We got
it is
6
so
ring
tough.
rings.
What, Tom?
It's tough to play on the. It's tough to play on the.
Yeah,
road,
you're exactly right. And I didn't really want to say
third.
anything in the pregame, and I told the guys last week, it's going to be really tough, and as cold as it is, you're riding 2 hours, Friday night. It's going to be a tough ride up there against an undefeated team like Mount Airy.
And I think it might have hurt Shelby too. I mean, because they had a pretty good ride up there to Mount Pleasant. Everybody's been talking about the fake punt, but I think that was in response to, Mount Pleasant went for it on 4th down a number of times.
All night.
All night long, and Shelby just responded to what they were doing because you do not beat Shelby by punting the football around between the 40s.
No.
And you have to go for it if you're going to beat them. You're not going to just punt and play defense the whole game. Although they did play great defense, there was a couple of times they were able to keep the ball away from Shelby, and I think that's what kept it closer. Plus, Shelby has really gotten the short end of the stick. There's no way they should be on the road this much in the playoffs. It's the greatest team they had this year. But, nonetheless, they overcame it. It's a little bit too much for Bessemer City. And our friends at Thomas Jefferson, same thing happened. I know you guys hadn't talked much about that game, but they really took it on the chin tonight, 47-20. But I think it's a similar situation. You're traveling a long way. It's cold. It's just tough to focus, and you're asking a 16, 17-year-old kid a lot to hop on a bus, ride 2 hours, get off, and play a long ball game, and that's why I just had to go with the home teams. The only one we all missed was Keys Mountain. We thought it was going to be a walk in the park for them. I guess Robinson proved us all wrong.
The thing, Tom, with those trips, things I know these are things nobody will talk about. There's a lot of distractions up there at Mount Airy and Cherokee. Mount Airy's got the video board up there. And
sanitary lunch.
While all the announcers are sitting on scissor lifts, up at Cherokee, you've got probably maybe if y'all ever get a chance to go by the stadium, is it not?
Oh my goodness.
The stadium and football field, the press box. You ought to see the pictures of the press box online, guys. Milton and them are mad they didn't go to Cherokee tonight instead of Mount Airy.
If you'd have paid for them to stay at Harris, they would have gone.
But yeah, Tom, you get all the way up there, and y'all had that argument earlier about do you get up there early and stretch and rest, or you get up there and get ready to play ball like you normally do?
It's just I would have tried to do exactly what I did all year long. I think that when you get away from what you usually do, I don't think it's a good thing. If you've been getting there an hour and a half before the game, and get there an hour and a half before the game and do what got you. I don't know. I've never been in that situation. I'm not a head football coach, but I just think that I am a creature of habit. So whatever I've had success doing, I want to keep doing that. But the Kings Mountain game, it was great bonus coverage you guys had there when Iceland came on. That was kind of cool. I was expecting you guys to come on and I got to listen.
Yeah,
I was just glued to my radio. I was like a 1960 kid, man. I was just sitting there in the kitchen with radio. Oh, it was such a great ball game. It's just a heartbreaking loss for Kings Mountain. But I know people have been saying it all night. I do not fault Greg Lloyd one little bit for going for it for two. When it's cold and the kicking game's up here, you guys have already nailed that one, so we don't need to go down there again. But anybody who thinks about getting on Greg Lloyd's case for going for two, you're wrong. He tried to win the game. That's what he gets paid to do. He gets paid to try to win the game. That's what he tried to do. Came up a little short. I just hate it for him. It's just a heartbreaking loss for him. But I still think it's the right decision.
And as an old kicker, Tom, you know that you can't guarantee that kick in any situation like that, just like you can't guarantee the run. But when you got Mack in the backfield, Joel, tell me if I'm wrong, I give the ball to Mack.
Oh yeah, like I said, once he got going, he's hard to stop.
Tom.
Yeah, and it's
okay. Go ahead. Y'all finish up.
It's hard. It's hard to say, man. I might have given Wade a little option, to like a little wrinkle in there. I know they're keying on Mack on that one play, and I guess you gotta have faith that Mack's gonna get you 3 yards. I don't know if I'd have been that predictable, but I still, it's kind of hard. The guys, I mean, the kid's got 1,800 yards of the year. I mean, it's kind of hard not to give him the ball.
Man, I agree with you that it's kind of hard not to give him the ball, but I love the call. It's a gutsy call. He took a page out of somebody I know's played very well on the call. You're at home. You want to get your crowd up. I agree with the call, but they loaded 9 in the box, and I'd have gave him just what they was expected and then pulled it out of his gut and flipped it on the outside to somebody.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It might have been, but then if it's a bad pitch, it's like, oh, you got cute, why didn't you give it to Mac? I mean,
yeah, exactly, Tom. Exactly.
It's one of those things where I probably would have done what Will did, but it's not a guarantee. A lot of things can happen on an option play, and if it's second down at the 50-yard line, you have a bad pitch play. Okay, now it's third down, but when it's all or nothing, and you got Rick Haven back there, it's not bad, but and not being able to see it, if they've got 9, everybody's up around there. Hindsight's always 20/20.
Of course.
We at the radio station always know what Coach should have done, but
that's why we do the post-game show, Tom.
It's a tough break, and Greg's a friend of mine, and I played ball with him about 100 years ago, and he's just.
Are you admitting to going to Chris?
Oh yeah. Tom said on the pregame show he went when he played football with Chris.
I don't want to hear him, but he's a great guy. Great coach. You guys praised him earlier. He's a great family man too. His wife, he's got a couple kids, and he lost his dad not too long ago. His dad always came to his games, but it just shows you that strong family bond that they have amongst that family, and just a good guy. And I just hate that happened to him tonight. And he'll be back next year. He's going to come back from this, but just extremely heartbreaking for him. I just hate it for Kings Mountain and their football program.
All right,
and
Tom.
Mac will be a junior next year.
Yeah, he's just a sophomore. All right, Tom, real quick before you go, we've got another caller, so we got to go here. But as of yesterday, before yesterday's NFL action, the Browns could still make the playoffs at 0-10 if 47 things happened correctly. And this is how bad the Dallas Cowboys are. They blew it the first day. One of the things was the Dallas had to beat the Chargers for the Browns to make the playoffs yesterday. And Dallas's loss just eliminated yesterday the Browns from the playoffs. Think about that.
Well,
Y'all have fun with that one, Will.
Tom, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but call Danny Cinefani and have him check out Kevin's jersey.
I got my
here.
Browns jersey. Tom's done seen it.
Yeah, he has a Joe Hayden jersey. I mean, come on, he doesn't even have a current player. I mean, come on, Kevin. I got a Tim Couch jersey for you in my closet.
Hey, hey, at least I'll represent.
You do. You do. I know I'm going to get you for Christmas. I got you. What did I get you last year? I get you witness seat. I got you seat last year.
Hey, it's not my fault that Hayden got traded.
He didn't get traded. He walked.
I thought they cut him.
No.
Yeah, they cut him. Yeah, they cut
You said
him.
they traded him.
I thought he was traded. Okay. So they ended up cutting
He
him.
feels better when he's hurt.
Oh,
He's
okay.
hurt again.
Yeah, he's out again. So.
You know,
All right, Tom.
he's out.
David Allen's on the phone. He said he wants Cinefani to get off.
Well, tell David. Tell David congratulations on the Golden Lions.
Yeah, he played good defense tonight.
Yeah, he did. I'll see.
Thanks,
I'll
Tom.
see you. All right.
DA on the phone tonight. 7-0 win. A shutout.
Thank you, David.
A shutout
Yeah,
for that
shutout.
defense.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, we'll take it. 7-0, 12-0, 40-0. It don't matter. We'll take it.
Well, tell us a little bit about there in the second half. You guys only had 3 possessions. You get 7 points on the night. Not what you want from your offense. Maybe you need to get a little bit more going forward. We tried to get Norris Hopper on the team earlier, but I think he's out of eligibility.
Oh, yeah. So you said something about 3 possessions. Now, I'm pretty sure we punted at least 3 times in the second half, so that can't be right.
Well, that's what Jeff said on the radio when I was coming in.
Oh,
so
well,
maybe
I mean,
you got the 4th one while I was picking up the pizza.
Yeah. Jeff would be paying more attention to it than I was. So if Jeff said that, I'll say he knows what he's talking about.
All right.
I mean, you know, obviously defensive struggle goes without saying. I felt like the stop right there before the half, holding them to a field goal attempt and then missing that field goal obviously was huge. They had, as I told my family as they were going in at halftime, I thought they had to feel really good at 0-0 at halftime. They would have felt a whole lot better at 3-0 or 7-0 either one, and that didn't work out for them. But just a good ball game. You go back to the 2005 game up at High Point Central where the 1998. I've got to go way back to go to the High Point Central game where we faked the punt. Coach Norman and his first year on the way to that 98 state championship game, and Coach Ware pulled one out of the playbook tonight, and it worked out for us.
Well, David, the one thing that concerned me about the Lions tonight, when it was 0-0 at halftime and later on through the third quarter, I was concerned. How will Shelby, with all of its success and just blowing teams out all year in various situations, how will they handle the adversity of being in a playoff do-or-die situation? And I've got to give it to you. The coach and the team stepped up and showed a lion heart and won the game.
Well, I mean, I think, when you look at the streak of the 4 straight state championships, you can find a lot of places in there where we've been on the one-sided scores. But this year has not been that case. I mean, you take out the conference games against the Rutherford County schools,
Yeah.
well, 2 of the 3 Rutherford County schools and East Gaston. I mean, we had those three wins. Chase, RS Central, and East Gaston were really the only 3 blowouts that we were involved in this year. We were in close games, the whole season long. A really close game against Crest, a really close game against Kings Mountain, and then of course losses to South Point, North and South Carolina. So I don't think this team has been one that has been used to playing ahead a lot. They've been in the close nail biting type games, and so I don't. I didn't get nervous tonight, and I don't think the kids did either. But at the same time, it was one of those games where somebody's going to, you kept waiting to see, somebody going to mess up, somebody going to turn it over, somebody going to come up with a big play. And like I said, the fake punt kind of gave us new life, and then we hit a couple of big plays Xavier Brooks had a big run right after the fake punt to get us down, knocking on the door, and then we were able to punch it in.
Well, David Allen, the big thing coming in tonight was that this team, Shelby, has played Mount Pleasant a lot in the playoffs in the last 10 years, and 5 times. This was the 5th time, and you guys are now 5-0 against them. But I mean, how challenging was it to finally go to Mount Pleasant after feels like the accumulation of this feud, and you guys take care of business again? I mean, how tough was it to finally go to Mount Pleasant? Because I bet they were hungry to finally get one on you guys.
Well, they were. There was a lot of talk, a lot of Twitter trash this week. The coach said, or there was a quote in the paper, I think it was, the coach raised his arms kind of in victory when they were on the field last Friday night after the game, and they heard the South Point Shelby score, and he was excited because they were finally going to get us to come there. And of course, our people didn't take too kindly to that, and everybody said, well, you get what you wish for and all this kind of stuff. But, they're a good football team. I think if you look back at those scores that we played them we played them twice in this run of, now 3 straight playoff wins. Those were both close ball games. The 31-17 game 2 years ago, I think, was 17-all, and we had a late touchdown offensively to go up 24-17, and then had a pick six to finish it off to make it a 31-17 game. But it was actually, 17-17 late in the fourth quarter. And, then the other one I think was 38-27. It was a close game too throughout. I mean, they are primarily a run football team, but they were able to mix the pass in tonight, keep it going, with a pretty balanced attack offensively. We finally started making some plays on second down. They were not having a lot of success on first down, and they weren't having a lot of success on third down, but they were having success on second and fourth. And after those fourth down conversions, we finally started getting them in some second and third and longs. And then once, we kind of started doing that, we were able to kind of take care of business. But you got to give them credit. They played a tremendous ball game on both sides of the ball, and it was just one of those things where you hate for somebody to have to lose a tough game like that, but we'll be glad to take it.
Well, David, I just want to throw in a couple of little things. Brian Simmons' football rankings, for whatever good, bad, or ugly you might consider them, the latest rankings have at number 1 Shelby, and they have your strength of schedule as ranked number 1 in the state. At number 2, they have South Point, and they have their strength of schedule at number 9. It plays, I think, to Shelby's favor to do what you guys do, and that is play the biggest and best teams that you can get to schedule your Lions for this stretch run, and it gives you what you just talked about, that feeling that we can beat anybody.
Well, and no question about that. And, of course, obviously part of that is we play Cleveland County. I mean, we play Burns Crest, Kings Mountain every year, regardless of, what's going on with their seasons and that kind of thing. And, I mean, I was shocked, believe it, to hear Kings Mountain lost that game to Robinson tonight. And because I thought Kings Mountain was going to win that one handily. And, I felt like we were going to have, again, 2 teams in the quarterfinals, or in the Western semifinals.
Well, this means
Western finals, state semifinals. I can't get that straight, but it's a testament to the Cleveland County schools that we do the same thing we do year in and year out, and everybody's
consistency,
battling this time of year.
Well, this means absolutely nothing because it's all played on the field next week. But the number 6 ranked team is High Brighton, and their strength of schedule is 50. So my money's behind the Lions next week. Bring it on home, David.
Well, and of course we'll give it a good, best effort. But the thing about High Brighton is obviously they're good. They beat an undefeated team like a dog tonight, 37-7 or whatever that final score was. And I know they're going to be ready and they're going to be at home. And you're talking about the Simmons guy. Well, the Simmons guy gives you 2 points for home, so
there you go.
2 points automatic for playing at home. So we'll have to start off being down 2-0 and see if we can't come out a victor next week.
Well, David, we appreciate it. Give us a call next week. Steve's signaling we need to wrap up here. We got to run the
All right, boys,
scores
y'all be
one
good.
more time. Thank you very much.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
Terry's got a breaking bulletin here, guys. I'm going to read this, and then we'll turn it over to you, Smoke, for some scores. High Brighton. Terry? Just in the postseason, High Brighton has scored 129 points and give up 13. So, Golden Lions, looks like you got your work cut out for you.
Do that mean they're stingy?
Yeah, I mean,
but who have they played? Anyway.
That's a good question. But first off, let's get to the scores, and then we'll talk about next week. In the 1A Western bracket, it was Mitchell defeating Robinsonville 45-25, and Cherokee beating Thomas Jefferson 47-20. Mitchell and Cherokee will go against each other next week. In the eastern side of the 1A bracket, it was North Duplin beating Pamlico County 42-14, and Plymouth beating Northampton 14-8. Those two will face off next week. In the 1AA Western bracket, it was Murphy defeating East Surrey 49-27, and Mount Airy defeating Bessemer City 38-16. Hopefully, Danny and Milton are riding home safely if they have not gotten home already. And then the eastern side of the bracket is Tarboro defeating West Montgomery 42-3, and Holmes defeating Lakewood 49-7. In the 2A Western bracket, it was Reedsville shutting out South Columbus 28-0, and Mountain Heritage beating Hendersonville 30-20. So that'll mean Mountain Heritage will travel up to Reedsville next week. And then the eastern side of the bracket, Wallace Rosehill wins in a basketball score over Northeastern 63-52. As South Onslow will play Wallace Rosehill next week as they beat East Bladen 30-13. In the 2AA Western bracket, as we just noted, as we talked about for the last 30 minutes on and off, Shelby beat Mount Pleasant 7-0. They're playing High Brighton, who beat Franklin 37-7. In the eastern side of the 2AA bracket, it was East Upland beating Randleman 21-13, and North Davidson beating South Granville 35-19. North Davidson and East Upland will be playing next week. In the 3A Western bracket, Charlotte Catholic had no problem beating Weddington as they sweep the series this year 42-7 the final, and a heartbreaking loss for Kings Mountain as they fall at home to J.M. Robinson 47-46, as J.M. Robinson will be traveling to Charlotte Catholic next week for the 3A Western Regional Final. In the Eastern Regionals for the 3A, it was Western Alamance beating Jacksonville 38-7, and Southern Nash losing to Havelock 49-39, as Havelock will be traveling to Western Alamance next week, and we could possibly see a rematch for the 2004 state championship game between Western Alamance and Charlotte Catholic, which Charlotte Catholic won in a controversial fashion 14-7. In the 3AA Western bracket, it was Sun Valley beating Mount Tabor 27-20, and AC Reynolds beating South Iredell, shutting down Brady Pope 17-7, as AC Reynolds will be taking on Sun Valley next week. In the 3AA Western bracket, it was Eastern Guilford defeating Clayton 38-31, and Cape Fear falling to New Hanover 35-31, as Eastern Guilford will take on New Hanover next week. And in the 4A bracket, it was Scotland County without Zamir White, five-star running back Zamir White scoring 74 points as they beat South Central 74-34. East Forsyth falls to Harding University 36-7. Wake Forest beating Sanderson 35-7, and then the baseball score tonight. Still got some baseball in late November as Mallard Creek beats Page 9-5. Yes, that's right. Mallard Creek stays undefeated, beating Page 9-5. In the eastern side of the 4A bracket, it was Hoggard beating Heritage 20-8. Vance defeating Hickory Ridge 49-21. Green Hope falling to Garner Magnet 56-39, and the last North Carolina score, Huff defeating Myers Park 39-17. South Carolina scores, Dutch Fork wins 24-14 over Fort Dutchmeyer or whatever.
Dorchester.
Mike.
Who beat them earlier in the year.
Okay, so revenge there for Dutch Fort. And, of course, former Burns standout and assistant Coach Randy Birch, his Gaffney team falls to Dorman 14-10. Those are your final scores. Next week, we will have only Shelby. Shelby will be the only football game we have, as they'll be taking on High Brighton, That kickoff will be at 7:30. Pregame show will start at 7 o'clock at the stadium, but of course we'll have the pregame show presented by Mitchum's Kitchen by Max Grill, food by Max Grill at 5:30. Carson Dockery, Texas Terry Reinhardt, Shannon Allen. Who knows? Tom Sinafani might drop in again. I might be in here. Who knows? It's a whole cast of characters. Of course, it's basketball season for WLON and WCSL, as the new-look West Lincoln Rebels will be taking on Cherryville, who I think put a big whooping on Thomas Jefferson tonight in basketball. So congrats to Cherryville, if I got that right. And that is our schedule, as the basketball game will start around 7:30. Just depends on when the JV and varsity girls game get
Kevin, we
up.
have time for a little poll numbers here.
Well, it's Shelby.
And that, folks, is our poll for this week.
That's about all we got left.
You can't argue about that.
You can't, there's no argument on that one.
That was hard. Everybody else is out. Since everybody else is eliminated, we've got some arguments over. We're going to clear this up. Smoke, don't break everything in here. We got some arguments over exactly how to finish up the poll. So we do know number 2 and 3, no matter what we do, is going to be. No, we do number 2, no matter what we do, is going to be Kings Mountain. It's just the matter of votes and how we go about this. If we want to do Will's way or the new way or whatever way we want. Depends if you want Thomas Jefferson and Best in front of Crest or not, and Crest in front of Huss or not. So you got to kind of think about that. All right. I do know tomorrow on Sports Talk, we're going to be discussing.
Wait. Hold on.
Smoke put
in your dreams, man. In your dreams.
This is not golf or swimming.
I'm swimming.
North Lincoln is not in the top 10 or number 2. Or
No,
anything.
Shelby's the only one remaining, so I can put North Lincoln at 2.
So, yeah, I guess you can.
Did they even go to the playoffs?
Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how the release of Ted, or the non-re-signing of Ted Ginn, has swung the NFC. So
Yeah.
Would you ever think I'll say something like that?
Well, he actually is with a good quarterback, so that's not shocking.
There you go. But we got all kinds of things to talk about tomorrow. Next week, guys, we will have coverage of Shelby Golden Lions. We don't have basketball yet, do we, Smoke?
Yeah,
do we?
Actually,
we do.
Cherryville, West Lincoln on WCSL and WLON.
And WLON. It will be on both channels. So Smoke went over that already. So we'll have basketball next week. Milton and the gang. Maybe next week they won't be on a scissor lift outside for the basketball game.
They'll just be in the rafters.
They'll be in the rafters at Cherryville. And so we'll get that taken care of. And then tomorrow also we've got, next week we'll have Shelby Golden Lions up at High Brighton. Real quick, I did want to talk about something, guys, on the matchups next week. Did y'all go over the matchups? I got you, Steve. Did we go over the matchups? Did y'all go over who's playing each other?
Yeah.
All right, real quick. Of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 matchups still left, guys. Ready?
Roll it.
5 of them are 1 versus 2.
Wow.
Another 3 of them still have the number 1 team. And then the rest of them, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. So every bracket has a 1 or a 2 in it still left. That's 1 through 3As. I didn't get to 4As. But the biggest, the lowest seeds. Are y'all ready for the lowest seeds? Sun Valley at 12 is still alive.
Wow.
And Shelby Golden Lions at number 8.
I told you Sun Valley was going to be.
Sun Valley beat Clayton tonight, undefeated. And Dennis, real quick, Terry was showing me a minute ago when Shelby beat High Brighton, they went on to lose the state championship against Clinton. Right, Terry? Clinton in the state championship. Yep. All right, real final thoughts. We got 60 seconds. Will, you got anything else to say?
Oh, good luck to Shelby and the Golden Lions next week.
Tomorrow? What you guys doing tomorrow? You got
we got tomorrow.
Selling cars.
It's Black Friday all the rest of the month.
Is Calvin out there tomorrow?
Calvin is not there tomorrow.
All right, we got to go. Bye, Dennis. Bye, Evan. Bye, Joel. Bye, Terry. Bye, everybody else. Go home. Thank you, Papa
guys.
John's, for pizza tonight. We'll be back
Thanks
next
for
week
tuning in.
on the Renaldo Auto Mall and
The
Witherspoon.
Black Friday sales event is underway at Renaldo Cadillac Buick GMC in Shelby. Coming down, save thousands of dollars, like up to $4,500 on the new 2017 Buick Encore. Take 20% off the new 2017 GMC Sierra Light Duty Crew Cab Truck. Save 17% off the new 2017 Buick Enclave 1SL. Hurry, offer ends November 30th. The Black Friday sales event at Renaldo Cadillac Buick GMC at Renaldo Auto Mall, 4423 East Dixon Boulevard, Shelby.
All the exciting play-by-play action is here.
And here's the kickoff.
Your sports leader, WHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, WCSL, Cherryville, Gastonia, and W268.